What if the most unassuming person holds the key to salvation? What if an ordinary story conceals something far greater? Betrayal, friendship, a battle for honour and the future. Today, you'll discover how an old man, forgotten by the world, became its last hope. A cold morning. The courtyard awakens to the cries of seagulls and the rare creak of old windows. From a crumbling lean-to above a garage, a figure emerges. Slow steps, a hunched back, the coarse fabric of a coat that had long forgotten warmth or comfort. It was him, Arthur Finch, the one everyone in the neighbourhood simply called the man from the attic. He walks. No one knows how old he is, and it seems he himself no longer remembers. But his gaze holds years, hundreds of stories, and a silence where every step seems measured by fate. He doesn't beg, doesn't complain. He doesn't scavenge. He lives as if proving to the world, even without a roof over his head, a person can retain their humanity. Today, as always, he headed towards the corner shop. In his hand, a few coins earned from helping the janitor yesterday. He seeks no pity, only bread and a bottle of kefir. The shopkeeper knows him, and though silent, she respects him. He's not one to parade his misfortunes. He's one who suffers in silence. He sits on a bench near the shop, tears off a chunk of his roll, takes a mouthful. He rubs his tired knees and stands again. The day has just begun, and he knows, to survive tomorrow, he must work today. Find someone to help, move boxes, sweep a yard, or just be there if someone is in pain. It was at that moment, as he walked down the alley, that something happened that would change his life forever. A sudden screech of tyres, the sharp whir of an electric scooter, wind, and a fleeting shadow. A boy of about 10, dressed in trendy clothes, a backpack slung over his shoulders, hurtles towards the intersection. The traffic light blinks. Red for cars is about to turn green, but one driver is in a hurry, a great hurry. The boy doesn't see it. He's in his own rhythm, headphones on, speeding. Arthur notices it in a second. He lunges forward. One hand grabs the boy's collar. The other is thrust forward as if it could halt time itself. The car roars past. The blast of air whips the cap off the boy's head. Around them, shouts, squealing brakes, street noise. But Arthur doesn't hear it. He looks into the boy's eyes. "You want to live? Then look both ways when you cross the street," he says hoarsely. The boy is pale. He hadn't even had time to be scared. Only now does it sink in how close he was to dying. "Thank you," he breathes out. "Not me, yourself. Remember that. I won't be saving you again." Arthur is already turning to leave, but the boy grabs his sleeve. "Please, wait." "What now?" "You saved me. You have to tell my dad. He works nearby. He'll understand everything." Arthur furrows his brow, doubt in his eyes. He doesn't want gratitude. He doesn't believe anyone can simply say, "Thank you," without trying to humiliate him. But the boy looks sincere, with an unchildlike conviction. He's a good man. He'll understand. "Fine, let's go." The walk to the office takes 5 minutes. They walk in silence the whole time. One thinks about how he almost died. The other, how far he'd gone in his isolation from people. At the building, a black sedan awaits them. A tall, stern man steps out of the car. He immediately recognizes his son, rushes to him, embraces him. "Where have you been? You were supposed to be at practice." "Dad, you won't believe it. I almost got hit by a car. If it wasn't for him," and he points at Arthur. The man shifts his gaze. His face instantly changes. He sees before him a ragged old man with eyes full of quiet fire. "This man!" "Exactly him. And you have to thank him." A pause. A look. An assessment. "Thank you. You saved my son." "Anyone would have done the same," Arthur replies gruffly. "Come with me to the office. At least let me offer you some tea." And this step, it was the first, because everything else would follow. And this anyone would become the one who changed their entire world. They entered the office. Bright walls, chrome railings, a lacquered floor, polished to a mirror shine. In this place, everything seems designed to exclude people like him. Arthur feels every glance, every hushed whisper, every shadow of disgust in the eyes of passers-by, but he doesn't hide, doesn't lower his gaze. He walks behind the man who just introduced himself, Julian Thorne, a major businessman, owner of a construction company, a man accustomed to commanding, a man obeyed not out of fear, but respect. And now he's in his office. He closes the door, extends his hand. "My name is Julian, and I want to—" "No, I'm obligated to thank you." Arthur sits only after a second invitation. He holds his back awkwardly, nods, remains silent. "You saved my son. That's priceless. Name what you need. Money, housing, anything within my power." Silence. "I need nothing. I have a roof. I have some food. The rest, it just happens." Julian looks at him for a long time, attentively, and suddenly smiles, informally, humanly. "All right, then not a handout. Then an opportunity. Come work for us, as a cleaner. The pay is steady. You can live on it. The work isn't hard. A roof over your head too. But this is for real." A pause. Arthur looks at his hands, his palms. Rough, cracked, but honest. "Can I think about it for a couple of minutes?" "You have exactly one. I'm a busy man." Arthur's shoulders straighten. He stands. "I accept. Not for the money, but because I want to prove I'm not broken yet." And in that moment, something inside him shifts. He's no longer just a passerby from the street, not just a saviour. Now he's part of the system, even if on its very fringe. Half an hour later, he's given a key to a small room behind the staircase. That's where the cleaning supplies will be kept. And if needed, he can stay the night. The secretary, a striking blonde in her mid-20s, hands him a uniform. She speaks quickly, emotionlessly, with a faint hint of disdain. He feels it, but says nothing. He'd endured worse. "Do you have any ID?" "Lost it, a long time ago." "All right, we'll sort it out. We've hired people like you before." Arthur nods silently. The room is tiny, but it has an outlet, an old kettle, even a curtain. For some, it was rock bottom. For him, a second chance. He neatly hangs up the uniform he'd been given, puts the mop in the bucket, and pauses for a moment at the window. A new day, a new chapter, and whatever lay ahead, he was ready. He didn't ask, he didn't demand. He just happened to be where he was needed, and now he would start anew. Morning begins early. The first rays of sun are just breaking through the blinds, but Arthur is already on his feet. He carefully brews tea in an old metal mug, drinking it silently, with restraint. It was important for him to finish, before the office came alive. First, a shower. The icy water stung, but he didn't complain. Then, the uniform. Spotless, pristine. He looks at himself in the mirror. His eyes hold determination. He takes the bucket, the mop. Carefully, methodically, he starts with the hall. Every movement precise, practiced. He's not just washing the floor, he's cleansing his past. Outside, he sweeps the yard. Drafts chase litter across the asphalt, but he was stubborn. As if behind every gesture, an inner vow, "I'll prove it." To myself, to the world, to everyone. A security guard walks past him, burly with a sneer. He eyed him warily. Arthur senses. This one doesn't trust him, won't accept him. Not right away. "Good morning," he says calmly. "Who are you anyway?" "This isn't a shelter. I work here. I was hired. I'll check on that." But he doesn't check. He just walks away, leaving a lingering trail of contempt. A little more time passes. Employees arrive. A buzz of activity. Everyone walks past. No one greets him. No one notices him. Except one. The schoolboy. Leo. The very same boy. "Hi, Arthur. How are you?" "Still breathing, kid." "Thanks to you." They exchange a few words and the boy runs off, leaving warmth in his wake. And then his father appears. Julian Thorne steps out of his car, spots Arthur, walks over. "How are things here?" "Everything satisfactory?" "Better than the attic," the old man chuckles. If you need anything, just ask. A nod. Respect. A delicate thread of trust between two men who see more in each other than others do. And then she appears, Eleanor Vance, the chief accountant, a well-rounded woman in her 50s, with a small bag in her hands and a kind smile. And you are, excuse me? Arthur, the new cleaner. Oh, wonderful. I'm Eleanor. Very pleased to meet you. She looks at him without judgment, without disdain. And this is the first genuine human warmth since he came to this office. If you need anything, please ask, she adds, and disappears behind the door. Arthur is left alone, but he already feels perhaps this world isn't so closed off to people like him. He returns to work. Broom, rag, bucket. His weapons in the battle for a new life. And with each movement he cleanses away years of accumulated past. While others work at computers, he works for the right to be part of something real. No one notices how the silence in the office has changed, how something new has appeared in the air, something brought by a man who simply wanted to live with dignity. Several days pass. Arthur settles into the office rhythm. He's still invisible to most, but his work is noticeable. Clean floors, washed windows, order even in places no one looks. Marcus Riley, the head of security, is the first to notice, and though he was sharp on the first day, now he approaches Arthur himself. Morning. Same to you, Arthur replies, not looking up from his task. We got off on the wrong foot yesterday. My apologies. It happens. I don't hold grudges. The men shake hands, briefly, man to man. Now in their gaze, respect, even if cautious. By midday, Owen, the assistant head of security, appears. Young, well-built, with a coldness in his voice. Hello, you're the cleaner? For now, yes, and you must be the I don't trust anyone guy. A bit bold for a newbie, and you're a bit too pompous for someone who just guards doors. A pause. Tension. Hey, Marcus intervenes. Both of you settle down. I didn't even start, Arthur says calmly. It's all right, just his personality. Yeah, I can see he's got a temper, Owen grumbles, but walks away, and Arthur smiles. He's used to attacks. He'd been through fire, through a real war. The day ends. Employees disperse. Arthur mops the floors, empties the trash. All as usual. But security is watching. Owen keeps a watchful eye on his every move. He craved a mistake. He awaited a downfall. And Arthur feels everything. But he does his work, precisely, restrained, calmly. In the evening, a familiar woman appears at the office entrance, elegant in a costly dress, holding a pie. Hello, I'm Sarah Thorne, Leo's mother. Very nice to meet you, Arthur is flustered. Are you here for me? Of course, you saved my son. I couldn't just let it go unacknowledged. Well, not that I'm a hero. I just happened to be there. Don't be modest. If it weren't for you, I'd be without Leo. She places the pie on the table. Arthur bustles about, trying to find cups to brew tea. His hands tremble, not from fear, but from unexpectedness. They drink tea, talk simply. Sarah laughs. Arthur, for the first time in a long time, smiles not to himself. He forgets about his clothes, his age, his status. Just a person, with another person, without pretense. When she leaves, he stands by the door for a long time, looks into the darkness of the corridor, then he returns, clears the table, and suddenly hears a voice. Was that pie? Can I have a piece? Leo. The schoolboy is already skipping around, sniffing, licking his lips. Of course, take it. Take it all. Wow, that smells delicious. It was a gift. I didn't bake it myself. Still, your little room is better than home. Arthur laughs. The boy is like light in his quiet, dusty room. And that evening, for the first time, he feels he's not just anyone. He's needed by someone. The next morning begins, like all the previous ones. Arthur again wakes before dawn. Shower, uniform, tea. His small morning rituals. He cleans the floors, meticulously wipes every handle, every corner. Then he goes outside, and at the main entrance he encounters her, a well-rounded woman in her 50s, with a confident gait and a large folder of documents. It's impossible to pass her. She's too substantial. He tries to go around, but doesn't make it. They almost collide. "Good morning. Excuse me, may I pass?" Of course, the woman steps aside. "Excuse me, I haven't seen you before. Perhaps we haven't crossed paths. I'm new here. Arthur?" "Eleanor Vance, chief accountant." They exchange polite phrases, and she disappears into the building. Arthur remains outside, but now with two human acquaintances already behind him. And that means things aren't so bad. 15 minutes later, Julian Thorne appears, walks over, nods. "Good morning, Arthur. And to you. How's the small room? Is everything satisfactory?" "Yes, even too much. Shower, kettle, refrigerator. After the attic. Paradise." Julian smiles. "Glad to hear that. You know, you're a good man. And you're not so bad yourself," Arthur replies, slightly flustered. "Not everyone thinks so. By the way, have you seen Eleanor Vance?" "She's already inside. Came early." "Excellent. Then I can begin my lecture." He leaves, and Arthur continues his cleaning. At lunchtime, Eleanor Vance reappears, this time with a bag. Inside, a dozen fresh homemade pastries. "Arthur, are you here?" "Yes. I was just thinking, well, maybe we could have some tea. I brought pastries." Arthur is at a loss. He bustles around the small room, tidying, smoothing napkins, setting the kettle to boil. Eleanor Vance laughs. "Don't fuss. It's all right. Let's just sit down." The scent of the pastries was intoxicating. Cabbage, potato, and jam fillings. "Are these all for me?" "Of course, for you. You deserve them." They drink tea. They talk. They laugh. Arthur tries to find something to give in return. Realizes he has nothing. He hurries to the nearest shop and returns with the chocolate bar. "This is for you." "You shouldn't have," she blushes. "But thank you. That's very kind of you." In that moment, something genuine appears between them. Not just gratitude, not just tea, but something more, respect. Simple, human warmth. 10 minutes after she leaves, the door bursts open. Leo. That ever-present boy again. He peeks inside, sniffs the air. "Wow! Pastries, can I have one?" "Of course. Help yourself." He bites into it eagerly. "Oh my God, these are delicious." "I know. They were a gift. Listen, you're cool, Arthur. You've got pastries and tea and your own little room, and you've got youth, so the score's even." They laugh. The boy chats about school, practice, his dream of becoming a striker for the national team. And Arthur listens, and somewhere deep inside, he feels the ice that had accumulated for years begin to melt. The next few days pass quietly. Arthur still comes in early, cleaning before the first office shoes clicked on the floor, precisely, diligently, without unnecessary noise. He had become a customary part of the building, unseen yet indispensable. But in the shadows, something else was brewing. One day, accidentally snagging a folder on the secretary's desk with his mop, he knocks it into a bucket of dirty water. Splash! The paper's soaked. Ink ran. "What have you done?" The scream pierced the corridor like shattering glass. Brenda Sterling, the secretary, stood with eyes blazing. In her hands, the wet folder. In her voice, fury. "That was financial reports. Contracts. Do you even realise what you've done?" Arthur looks at her, head bowed. "I didn't mean to. Let me dry them." "Dry them? Papers? Are you completely senile?" "I apologise." "No, you'll go and explain it all to Julian Thorne yourself." At that moment, the door cracks open. On the threshold, Eleanor Vance. "What's going on here?" "This old man ruined crucial documents." "Which ones exactly?" "Financial reports, material contracts, all soaked." Eleanor walks over to Brenda, takes the wet folder from her hands, flips through it. "It's not a disaster. All documents are in the digital database. I'll print everything out, apply the seals. But, quiet, don't shout. He didn't do it on purpose. I'll vouch for him. Arthur lowers his gaze, but in the corners of his eyes, gratitude. Thank you, he whispers. It's all right. Just continue your work. And you, Brenda, don't scream. This isn't a marketplace. A couple of days pass. Leo again comes to the office without telling his father, straight to Arthur's small room, as if he knew something important awaited him there. He opens the door and immediately rushes inside. Hey, what's new? Nothing much. Tea and a mop, my loyal companions. What if I'm your third companion? Then the mop's on standby. They laugh. The boy talks about school, practice, his dream of becoming a striker for the national team. And Arthur listens, and somewhere deep inside, he feels the ice that had accumulated for years begin to melt. Pausa. The next day, something strange happens. Eleanor Vance burst into the small room. Arthur, it's my birthday today, and I'm having a small gathering. You simply must come. I'm not sure. It won't be the same without you. I've already told everyone you'll be there. Don't you dare let me down. He nods, and as soon as she leaves, he rushes to the shop, returns with a box of chocolates, a small but meaningful gesture. At the gathering, everything proceeds formally. Wine, toasts, laughter, but Arthur stood in a corner, quietly, unnoticed. And then, Brenda. She approaches, smiling coldly. Well, hero, didn't manage to avoid the documents this time? Arthur wants to reply, but Mark Evans, the programmer, beats him to it. Brenda, aren't you tired of projecting your insecurities onto him? Other employees join in. They take Arthur's side. He's stunned. He hadn't expected this. He was used to being a target. But now, he's part of a team. That evening, after the gathering ended, he empties the trash, mops the floors in the hall. Marcus Riley stands in the doorway. Listen, Arthur. Fancy a game of chess? What's the point? I've been practicing this whole time. So what? I have to win at least once. Both men laugh. And 10 minutes later, a game, then another. Marcus loses, again and again, and laughs like a boy. All right, that's enough. I give up. You've got a whole library of moves in there. Arthur smiles and understands he's needed here. Among these people, night. The corridors are empty. The lights flickered occasionally, reflecting on the damp floor. Arthur finishes cleaning. The last floor remains, the administrative one. He slowly climbs the stairs. Brenda's office is the last in the row. The light is off, the door ajar. He's about to pass by, but suddenly, something strange. A low voice from behind the door. A whisper, as if a phone conversation. Arthur freezes. Are you sure Julian still keeps the documents in the safe? Of course, that's why I joined his company. The main thing is to be careful. He trusts me like a blind cat. Everything's under control. Excellent. Then tomorrow, we'll transfer the flash drive, and I'll give it to the Grey. The rest is not your concern. A click. The conversation ends. Arthur carefully backs away. His heart pounds like a drum. More sweat on his brow than from mopping. He can't believe his ears. Her, Brenda. The secretary. The face at the entrance. She's working for someone else. And the name. The Grey. He'd heard it. Before. He'd heard it in the news. Crime. Corruption. Dirty schemes. Rigged bids. They want to get to Julian. From the inside, Arthur descends to his small room, closes the door, sits down. His hands tremble. He's just a cleaner. Not a policeman. Not a spy. But he's not a coward either, he thinks. For a long time. Recalls everything he'd seen in the past few days. Conversations. Brenda's movements. How she often stayed late alone in the evenings. How she kept the safe under control. How easily she entered Julian's office when he wasn't there. He opens the notebook in which he kept a list of daily tasks. On the last page was a plan. Simple, but clear. Observation, confirmation, and most importantly, a camera. The next day, early in the morning, he goes to Marcus Riley. Security, control, access to the surveillance system. Marcus, can you trust me? I already do. What's happened? Arthur leans in and whispers. Everything. Without holding anything back. Marcus's face changes. Are you sure? Too sure. Then we'll have to make some noise. Just quietly and quickly. They install a hidden camera, a microphone, under Brenda's desk, and they wait. The day stretched out agonizingly. Arthur swept the corridors seemingly as usual, but every 20 minutes he peeked into the security room. Marcus nods. It's recording. Nothing yet. And suddenly, on the screen, Brenda. She enters the office, takes out a flash drive, scans documents, makes copies of contracts from the safe. And then, a call. I'm delivering it today. The Grey is waiting. I have everything. Contracts, signatures, personal data. He'll be pleased. Marcus mutes the sound. He remains silent. Then slowly says, Now we have what we need. Time to call Julian? Time. 15 minutes later, Julian Thorne himself is sitting in the security room. He watches the screen, doesn't blink, doesn't speak. Then he leans back in his chair. Are you sure she's delivering the data today? Arthur nods. What time? 6:45 p.m. at the back entrance. Julian stands. Then, we'll get everything ready. What are you going to do? Marcus asks. Catching a rat by the tail, with bait, and on camera. Arthur asked no more questions. He did what he had to do. Now, everything depends on them. Time dragged on, thick and slow. Every minute felt like a taut string. Arthur returns to his cleaning, but his hands move mechanically. His thoughts are solely on what's to come. At 6:30 p.m. he stands in the hall, holding a bucket and mop, but all his attention is on the service corridor. Inside him, a storm. Fear that it won't work, that everything will fall apart, that Brenda will sense the trap. But then, she comes. She moves quickly, as if in a hurry, a leather bag on her shoulder. Her face held a mix of eagerness and confidence. The security guards seem to ignore her. Everyone is busy with their own tasks. But Arthur knows they're already waiting around every corner. Marcus, Owen, and Julian himself, outside by the back entrance disguised as a driver. 6:43 p.m. Brenda exits, a faint smile on her face. She thinks everything is going according to plan. And then, a figure emerged from the shadows. Good evening, Brenda. Didn't expect to see me? Julian Thorne, cold, composed. In his hands, a folder. His face was like steel. What? What are you doing here? What do you think? He opens the folder. Inside are photos, screenshots, audio recordings, her conversations, her flash drive, her betrayal. This is a fake. Oh, don't bother. Everything is officially recorded from 2 cameras under security supervision. Marcus and Owen step out from the doors, silently, resolutely. Brenda, you are detained until the police arrive. You have no right. It's all him. It's all Arthur. He made it all up. Arthur? Julian repeated. Interesting. Are you suggesting the man from the attic concocted an elaborate scheme to frame you for your criminal ties? She is silent, broken. She understands. There's no escape. Her hand frantically reaches for her bag. Stop! Owen intercepts the movement. Inside, a second flash drive, with other compromising material, possibly on other employees. Take her away, Julian nods. And so, 3 minutes later, she vanishes into the darkness, forever. Later, in the office, silence. The 3 men sit. Julian, Marcus, Arthur. I don't even know what to say, Julian says slowly. You don't need to say anything, Arthur replies. Just thank you for giving me a chance. A chance? You didn't just take it. You saved all of us. The business, my reputation, and possibly people's lives. I just watched and listened. And then I didn't stay silent. That's what distinguishes a person from furniture. You deserve more. I want you to no longer be a cleaner. And what do you see me as? Personal security assistant. Are you sure? More than ever. I need someone I can trust. Without reservation. Arthur nods. Not immediately, slowly, but inside, a flash, lightning, a return. Later, when everything calms down, he sits alone in his small room, looks out the window, in his hand, an old chess piece Leo had brought him. On the screen of the old television, the news. Brenda S., detained for transmitting internal documents to a criminal syndicate, today gave testimony against a businessman known by the alias, the Grey. The announcer's voice was drowned out by the sound of the boiling kettle. Arthur stands, pours tea, and in the reflection of the glass suddenly, he freezes. The surveillance camera in the office corner blinked, just for a second, as if someone had just reset it. He narrows his eyes, puts down his tea, and slowly walks towards the exit, because in his world, if you've seen evil once, it never truly disappears. Just when it seems everything is over, a camera accidentally catches something that makes you freeze. On screen, Arthur, that same old man, does something unexpected. What is it? Betrayal? A hidden agenda? Or... Kyle Davies can't believe his eyes. The truth turns out to be not so clear-cut, and even the one who saves can harbour a secret capable of destroying everything.